Hello, everyone. Here I am again. It's been, quite some time since I made a video. 21 was a terrible year for me. Last year was so-so, and this year, I don't know, we'll see. Didn't start great, but we'll see. Maybe it will get better. I hope so. Anyway, let's talk about Linux and my computer. Last 2 years, I've been using some other Linux distributions than Linux Mint. First, I tried Ubuntu, like main flavor with GNOME. I used it for a month or two, didn't like it. GNOME is just not my thing. Too many restrictions, and what I see as a restriction, GNOME Foundation apparently and their developers think that it's a feature, and I just don't agree with that. GNOME reminds me very much of Apple and their products, and it just requires too much tweaking and usage altering from the user, and I don't want to do that simply. So after that month or two, I changed actually to Ubuntu MATE because I always liked MATE desktop environment, and I used it happily for something like 10 months, and it was great. I was really happy with Ubuntu MATE. Can't remember why I wanted to change, but probably something with some kind of breakage that I was guilty of. But I also remember that I just wanted to use, like real deal. And in my mind, that is Debian. So I used actually Debian, mostly with Cinnamon, but also with Mate and XFCE, and I really liked it very much. Debian is a great distribution that is father and grandfather to many other distributions, and I really enjoyed using Debian. But then, if I remember correctly, I just wanted to do something that is Debian, but without systemd. Why? I don't have this ideological reason of hating systemd, but I wanted to try something else because I thought that I could improve maybe some things in the system if I didn't use systemd. I just wanted to try out, basically. For instance, faster startup, computer and distro startup. And so I decided to install Devuan. Devuan is actually a fork of Debian. It just doesn't contain systemd. They say that it allows users to reclaim control over their system by avoiding unnecessary entanglements and ensuring init freedom. On paper sounds great, but I'm not a developer, nor, I'm just regular Linux user. So I used Devuan for quite some time, 5 or 6 months, and it was great. And I was really tinkering with it and learning much about Linux and all the things under the hood. But I made a mistake. I don't know if it was a mistake. It was a mistake. It's great learning experience, but I really wanted to make this great Devuan distribution that is stripped of all unnecessary stuff, right? So I tried to install like minimal versions of it several times, and I always succeeded, yes. But eventually I was just fed up with, from time to time, have to fight certain issues. Like, all of a sudden Steam wouldn't work, or some game that I really like wouldn't start because I was missing different packages, and all these dependencies that said app would maybe need. So I was just really fed up having lean, mean Devuan machine, and just wanted things to work. And thus, after 2 years of my Linux journey into unknown waters, I came back to Linux Mint, and I installed it some days ago. And I must say, it's so refreshing to just install the system that, yes, on paper is bloated compared to Debian, and especially Devuan, because it has, let's see, Linux Mint currently has 2,288 packages. And I have different apps installed, something like Audacious, Celluloid. I have Document Viewer that is part of Linux Mint. Emacs, I have Europa Universalis 4, this is the game. FileZilla, Firefox, GIMP, Generation Zero, GRSync, Joplin, LibreOffice, Writer and Calc. Then I have Megasync, Steam, of course. So I do have 2,288 packages at the moment, and it is considered a bloat. But what is bloat, right? I mean, yes, I have all these packages compared to Devuan, where I usually had like 1,300. So it's like 1,000 packages less than Linux Mint. But guess what? Everything works. So I think it's a good trade having more packages, and I actually removed a lot of stuff like Asian fonts and some stuff that I didn't need. So I ended up with these 2288 packages. But it works. Whatever I throw at it, it works. In Debian, it's dependency hell. Both in Devuan and Debian, it's basically the same system. And if I go minimal with the distro, eventually it just gets a big mess when I need some program that needs a lot of dependencies, and either Debian or Devuan don't have them, or I have to really tinker around. And I was just getting fed up with that. So that is the main reason why I go back to Linux Mint, because Debian and Devuan are really amazing distributions, and everyone should check them out. If I ever come back to Devuan or Debian, first thing I will do is just install most bloated versions of those distributions, and not tinker with, making them minimal and as small as possible. I'm done with that. Sorry. I am really. So, but here I am. I have Linux Mint coming home once again after so many, couple of years, right? Linux Mint right here. And I've installed actually the latest version, 21.1, Vera, Cinnamon edition, of course. I am a big fan of Cinnamon. So what is it that I like about Linux Mint? I already mentioned that I really love that things just work in Linux Mint. That is probably the main reason why a lot of people somewhat mistakenly just calling Linux Mint newbie distribution. It is, of course, but I would say and argue that Linux Mint is for everyone. Everyone who just wants things to work. If you don't want to play too much with tinkering with your machine, Linux Mint is for you. What I like about Linux Mint is consistency, right? Whatever they do, Linux Mint just does it in the same manner. They were always against Snap, so there's no Snap crap in Linux Mint, which I really like. I think Snap is just a bad version of Flatpak, and I really don't need snaps in my life, and on my machine definitely. Linux Mint has somewhat conservative aesthetics, and this is actually something that I like. They don't change too much, and this is good in my mind, because once you have a popular, flashy aesthetics, like fashion, then you have to change it every 3, 5, 6 months, just like fashion, right? And I like that Linux Mint doesn't do that. They have consistent design decisions that they actually stick to, of course, with some small alterations, and they actually did it this time. I really like their new icons. Here we have one. It is freshened up. Colors, accents. You can see here actually that there's some like accent ribbons there. New thing for Linux Mint, at least, is that once you hover over the icon, it doesn't get marked, right? And if you press on it, icon itself doesn't get highlighted and marked, but only the text, right? Description. So this is really nice. This is really nice feature in new Linux Mint 21.1. What else do I like about Linux Mint? Of course, Cinnamon. This is also one of the main reasons I came back. It's Cinnamon. Cinnamon is developed by Linux Mint team, and I really like Cinnamon as desktop environment. It just works. It looks modern. You can make it as good as you want. It does look fresh if you wish. You can make it look like Windows XP if you wish that. So I think it's pretty stable, and I feel that Cinnamon is getting better with every new version that comes out. So Cinnamon is a great desktop environment, definitely my favorite right before XFCE and MATE. Another thing that I like in Cinnamon, and especially in Linux Mint, because this is a Linux Mint feature and I haven't stumbled upon it in other Cinnamon versions on other distributions. And this is when you click on menu and you click on, let's say, some program. For instance, system info, right? Right click on it and it says uninstall. I think this is, for some minor feature, but to me, it shows that Mint team really thinks about these small details. I don't have to go into terminal and say, whatever, sudo apt remove Firefox. I just can do it right away here, right? Firefox, right click, uninstall. I think that is just great feature that all other desktop environments should introduce if they haven't already. I like that, really like that. It's for some probably not important, but I acknowledge this feature as a pretty good one. I also like, just as in many other desktop environments, that you have this ability of moving icons around, right? So I can just pull LibreWriter to the top if I wish that and move it back again. Or, I can reshuffle maybe Emacs. I want it to be on top of my menu. So it's again, small feature that matters in my mind. And again, I know other desktop environments can do this, so it's not revolutionary in that sense, but those small things matter to me as a user. Another thing is themes. Themes, it's so easy to change things in Linux Mint, Cinnamon in general, but in Linux Mint especially, since they have already included so many themes and icons. So let's say mouse pointer could be, you can choose between Adwaita, Bibata, and others, Yaru. Applications and those buttons, look at these choices. That this is just overwhelming, especially in Linux Mint with all these different variations, and it's great. Then we have icons. Again, great range of choices. The only thing I've installed here is this one, New Weta Reborn Dark. All others are actually Linux Mint icons, so they're great. And of course, desktop theme. Again, many different variations. I use Mint Y Dark Aqua, Mint Y Dark Aqua icons, and Mint Y Dark Aqua applications theme. This is it. Themes, great feature of Cinnamon. and really beautifully implemented in Linux Mint. Next thing I really like in Linux Mint is Nemo File Manager. It is really straightforward, no nonsense, no crap. It's all there a user can wish for. This is almost vanilla Nemo. The only thing I've changed in preferences is this part here. I just want to see how many items are in the folders, and also I want to see size. For instance, the size of a certain file. Let's say this one, installed apps. It's a text file and it is 551 bytes. Large file. I like this feature. So it's the only thing that I've currently changed in my Nemo, and it's beautiful. So it's very functional. I can split a window into two panes, and it's so wonderful file manager. One of my favorite in Linux world, definitely one of the best file managers. What else? Oh yeah, workspaces. Workspaces is a fantastic thing in Linux in general, but especially in Cinnamon. I have a ultra wide screen. You can't see it because I am resizing it actually. So I have a lot of screen space, but nevertheless, there's always a need for more space, right? When you use, let's say, browsers, when you use something, when you do something with your files, or you do some writing, or, entertainment, playing games, whatever, it's always good to have more screens. And if you don't have physical screens, because I don't know, I'm not super big fan of having two screens and more. I'm just not. I'm not a flight traffic manager or whatever. I just need one physical screen, but with possibility of having more, at least digital screens, right? So here is a great solution in Cinnamon. If I press Control Alt and arrow down, I get the overview over the open windows, the current workspace. Can go back. Then if I go Control Alt and arrow up, you get all the workspaces that I have on this machine. So it is internet, I have writing here, I have games down there, and on the right side, entertainment. This is just great. I don't need two or more physical screens. I have 4 workspaces in my Cinnamon. So let's go back to workspace 1. I can also just go Control Alt and arrow right. There's a writing workspace, games, and entertainment, right? Beautiful. Let's go back to internet. This is my current workspace, the active one. So it is great implemented thing in Cinnamon. Of course, other test environments have similar solutions. GNOME definitely, KDE most likely too. So it's also XFCE, of course. But I think it is really nice and beautifully implemented in Cinnamon. So that's it. I was really feeling, and still to some extent do feel, that I am a Linux nomad, like hobo almost. And I really hope that Linux Mint will be my next permanent home, digital home at least. So, because I need this, I need the moment, I need stability in my on my computer, and I don't want to tinker anymore. So I'm done tinkering for now, at least with the distribution itself. I just want, at least on my main station, I want to have stable distribution that just works, and I just can't fight anymore with all these dependencies. Not at this moment. I have so many things that I need to be focusing on, and tinkering with my distribution is not a priority for me. Not now, and I'm pretty sure not next months to come. So I need stability, and I hope that Linux Mint can provide that for me. And I'm glad that I am back again. Hello, Linux Mint.